everything is plausible. And you know, Deku is Deku. He's the greatest hero. So if he was on some, they wanted to do a vigilante underground arc with Deku, no powers. It could be kind of gas because you have kind of the groundwork too with vigilantes. Like you have some lore to work with as well.
I
No, I
think
think a crossover is needed. A crossover is needed.
Facts.
I'm not mad.
Can I bring up one
tripping,
philosophy
right?
though?
Go ahead, J-Rob.
I will say this. Could be a situation too, like if Shonen Jump need their bread. If they wanted My Hero to go into another direction, have a sequel or something with Deku, movie, spinoff, whatever, you could go and get bro from Vigilantes, and Deku could have his underground vigilante arc. Because obviously, what's his name? Knuckle Dragger, whatever. He don't have a quirk, and he be boxing up all types of superheroes. So,
With
that
the
could be
support
a spin-off.
items, he could just turn him into Batman, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously, we saw Iron Man, All Might, so everything is plausible. And Deku is Deku. He's the greatest hero. So if he was on some, they wanted to do a vigilante underground arc with Deku, no powers. It could be kind of gas because you have kind of the groundwork too with vigilantes. Like you have some lore to work with as well.
I
No, I
think he
think a
still has
crossover is needed. A
support.
crossover is needed.
Facts.
I'm not mad at it because I really like the main character from Vigilantes. But after he said, "I still feel the Ember," I think it pretty much confirms he still has a quirk at that point.
Okay.
Well, Miles can tell you because we talked about this during the Fate thing. I think My Hero has plenty of spin-off potential. Like I threw up like just a random story. Like y'all seen Hancock, right? With Will Smith.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think a story like that could work in My Hero and it'd be awesome. Give me a hero who may be down in the dumps or something that happened to him. It will even follow the exact same arc that Will Smith's character does in the movie. And I think
take out the alien romance thing.
the
'Cause that's
Yeah.
a
romance stuff is
plot
out.
point.
That
But-
gotta go. That gotta
Yeah,
go.
said he was
take out the
gonna-
alien romance, but keep the rest of it. And I think that would be an amazing story to tell in the My Hero universe.
They could go to America too.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
could
they
go to America. Obviously,
There's a story right there. How's America going to deal with still
Star
losing their
Stripe had
number
a
one
very
hero?
symbolic impact on America. There could be a whole nother character.
Yeah, like who's gonna replace her and all that.
Right. And
Yeah, that's true.
let's not act like we haven't seen anime be. They do obviously they speak in Japanese, but are in other countries. I mean, have you ever watched Megalobox? I think that show is based in like Mexico, bro. Like
When
so
I was
like Mexico or
preaching
South
about it.
America. And Megalobox is fire. And obviously it was a Japanese studio that did it. They did a phenomenal job with that, I think. So I think they could go to America and it could be gas.
Well, we've seen them have heroes from other countries who I would be very interested in just kind of seeing how they operate in their own kind of natural environments. Like the Egyptian hero, they showcased a lot. So I'd like to see how he moves in Egypt
Africa could be cool.
or
too.
Africa, because that the fact that especially when they said that nobody was going and that the Horikoshi wrote to show that he was pissed that he couldn't go help. And I think that was very important. That could be something that you could play on in the future.
And I think the thing that could be cool too is seeing Deku's symbolism stretch his global impact, because you would see how it's affecting other countries. Because a lot of them watch this on TV. Him save the world.
Nah, My Hero Academia is definitely cooking, all things considered. I do want to raise this. Also, Dan, what do you say? I know you brought this up. Potential spinoff, in my opinion. I feel like Hori hasn't touched the surface on quirks. It really does depend on how much Horikoshi wants to do after My Hero Academia, which would be huge.
I think he's done.
I don't
he's
know.
So his body with his health. I think he's done. He might have to pass that to somebody else.
Ain't he sick or something?
Yeah, he's been really sick.
He's sick. I'm saying the other spinoff I could see is because they kind of alluded to it when Bakugo had like that great moment with the kids and everything like that. How quirks are evolving with each generation, and like how they feel like it's gonna eventually become a big problem where like these quirks are gonna become out of control. So if they do a spinoff where it's like 20, 30 years down the line, and these new kids have just like city destruction level quirks and shit like that they can't control, and it does start that whole pandemic of quirks, that could be very interesting. So
and
he does like
what they could get into too as well. They could kind of tap into that ideology of like Omega level mutants and stuff like with X-Men, like but with like the quirk system. You know what I'm saying?
That's such a good point, especially My Hero, which I do appreciate, is they don't put the ceiling of the what they've done, like the characters, the strongest characters, to like ridiculous levels where it's like impossible to think that someone's gonna be stronger than them. Kind of like Naruto. Naruto's like it's impossible that anybody's gonna be stronger than them. And the way they did it, I'm not a big fan, but it is what it is. My Hero won't have that issue, especially considering All for One and One for All are gone. But there will be people stronger than Todoroki and Bakugo in the future with the evolution of quirks and all that stuff. But shout out Rashad with the $5 super chat. He said, "Is Shigaraki making y'all top 10 anime villain list?" And Random, why do you hate Bakugo, man?
Why do you hate?
Oh,
Bakugo?
random answer first, and we can all answer the Shigaraki.
In terms of it's more of a personal thing. And I went on it. I think one of the first couple episodes in terms of, so when I was younger, I was bullied. I was bullied into like a catch of football, and the guy that was my bully was exactly like Bakugo, like almost damn near to a T. Made like when I tell you he made fun of me, my mom, my heritage, my family, and the only way it stopped, I started catching footballs and I started fighting them, and that's how it stopped. Now we talked about it. It's just, okay. Let me keep it absolute. Bakugo, his character arc is great. The problem is, it's just a little too personal for me that I'm just never gonna fully embrace him. I'm just never am because of what I went through in my past. And I'm not, it's just how it is. I'm not hating on the dude. Obviously, I just do it for laughs or whatever. But as obviously Horikoshi found a great way to write his story, but I've seen that person who was like Bakugo refuse to get better to the point we had legitimate problems in high school to the point, one point, it's like every time I see you, I'm fighting you, bro, because we just never gonna mesh. And that's just how it is. And I know it's tough. I really do try, but like it's just something that, and this isn't something new to me. Everybody has just something about some character that they've seen that they just don't like. And this is my thing with Bakugo.
Fair. Shigaraki top 10. Well, villains is like my thing. I don't know if he's like in my top 10. I have to really think about it, because if he is shonen top 10, maybe. I do appreciate the fact that he said like he had that great moment where he said he was the hero of the villains, because the villains see heroes too. They need someone to look up to too. That was a goated villain moment for me. But he's up there. I don't know if he's top 10. I'm not going to say that without shadow of a doubt, because there's so many manga and anime out there. But no, he's goated.
I wish that when All for One became a vestige of him, that he found a way to overcome that himself and say, no, you're not taking this over. This is me. I'm taking over. So I wish he did that. But when you say top 10 all time, do I put him in the same like level as Griffith? Well, like you're talking like that, like, because it's just, I'm just going off of like the anime villain list. Like you're talking about some of the greatest of all time. I don't know yet. It would feel weird for me to put him in the exact same room as Griffith.
Well, just because they're go ahead, Miles.
No, I was gonna say he's not my top 10 either. I think part of the reason why is because he kind of suffers from being I did it again. He suffers from not being, I want to say, the primary villain. He kind of shares the spot with another person in All for One, and I think that's what really harms his case. If it might have been him solo, I think he would have propelled on my list, because he'd have a lot of that deposition that All for One has. I think he's great. Top 10? Nah.
Yeah, I'm literally in the same camp as Miles.
I was literally gonna say the same thing. Word.
Yeah. Y'all remember I was saying that All for One seemed like the final villain for a long time, but I did appreciate what Shigaraki was going to do, and I personally thought Shigaraki was going to overcome All for One and
that would have been hard.
The final confrontation against Deku, and the fact that he didn't leaves a lot to be desired. It just didn't hit as hard as it should have. But Shigaraki is good, but he probably wouldn't be in my top 10 either.
I ain't want Deku to say that poor boy. I want that poor boy to fight his ass.
I will say Shigaraki, as a villain enthusiast, his greatest thing about him, at least to me, besides the hero villain moment, is when we see a lot of villains like stick with their beliefs to the end, it's usually because they're more on like the ignorant side, or they're more like not fully aware or accepting. He had full self-awareness of what he was doing and of like what was going on, and he's still stuck with it anyway. Like he didn't back down, he didn't backtrack, he didn't backpedal at all, which is what we usually see at the end of these stories. Like the villain like sees it from the other guy's perspective, or they come to some sort of resolution. But he's just like, yeah, you beat me, but I stuck to my beliefs no matter what. I still feel like I was right, and so he still was validated in himself. So I respect the hell out of that because we don't get to see that a
Ooh,
lot.
That's a great question by Danielle right there. I agree with you, Miles, on this. The same
Yeah.
tiers, Mahito. Yeah.
I have him above Mahito.
I think he's better than
I got Mahito over Shigaraki. I ain't gonna lie.
I think
You
I
do?
think Shigaraki's a little bit better, but that's fine.
Nah,
Yeah, I respect the
I
growth
think
of.
he's Mahito. I'll put Mahito like easily over.
That's why I was saying
Shigaraki.
they're in the same realm, right? Like, because
Mhm.
it can go either way.
Yeah.
When do you think? I think there were two chances where Shigaraki could have taken over and become the main guy. Obviously, when All for One shows up as a vestige, and maybe you give him a chapter, then Shigaraki's like, we're not doing this. I'm taking over here. I think that would have been a big one. And maybe and when obviously first thing first, I'm not trying to take this away from Bakugo because he did do his thing. Maybe if All for One made it to Shigaraki and then Shigaraki betrays him, and then Bakugo gets the win that way. I think that would have been another chance. But you gave it to Bakugo, and it was a great moment. But I think we had two chances right there for Shigaraki to fully become the main guy, and Horikoshi chose otherwise. And it hurt Shigaraki enough to not put him. We're talking all-time